Well, hello, everyone. Welcome to our 51st membership annual meeting. This is the Environmental Defenders of McHenry County, and welcome to all of our members, friends, and colleagues. Thank you for joining us for our 51st annual meeting. My name is Lori McConville, and I am your current president. We appreciate that you're joining us virtually, and thanks to our executive director, Cynthia Canner, and Mallory Fisher, our communications and membership specialist, for putting this together for us with the help of Steve Fierak. He is a videographer and technician. He's volunteered his time to support our staff as they work toward putting this virtual event together so we can gather safely. And of course, a big thank you to the fundraising team for their efforts as well. We appreciate them this year and every year that they've supported this annual event. So here we are, 51 years and ready for the next generation of McHenry County defenders, environmental defenders, I must say. As always, I'm very proud to live in this county and be in your company. There are some extraordinary people that do extraordinary work for our environment, and I'm always glad to say hello and meet all of you, as I'm sure you are feel the same way about each other. I just want to give you a heads up. You can use your chat button if you'd like to say hello to each other. That should be at the bottom of your screen. Or under the event tab, you will see chat, polls, and people. Those will be important buttons for you to use as we go through the program. So it's been a long year. I'm sure all of you can identify with that. But we've accomplished quite a bit. We've become very flexible with how we do things. And what we've done this past year on the board and overall in the organization, that upper level, we have been working on communicating with our members and community, making sure that we take advantage of social media and having the right people in the right place to do what we do best. And that's to communicate and preserve, improve, and educate about our local natural environment. And then we also take time to understand how those efforts ripple out into the world. So keeping in mind that goes out, starts locally, goes outwardly, but we are actually a very grassroots organization and always will be. It's concerned residents that are doing the footwork. However, we need to be secure in our physical presence. So this past year, we've been busy making sure that our finances are stable and in line with our goals, remaining flexible so that we can meet the needs, changing needs as they arise. And we're very grateful for the foundation support we have received over the past year and prior years, and all of our individual and business members who renew their membership with us each year. We're very grateful for you as well. And of course, the action teams with support from our staff when needed are thriving and active. I hope you had a chance to check in with them during the sessions, and maybe you found yourself inspired by some of the work that they're doing, and you might join in with some of them sometime. Before I move on to the conclusion, I just want to ask you to take a look at the minutes from last year's meeting, because we will be voting on them during the business portion of the meeting. They are in the reception area. So go ahead and read those minutes, because as a member, you will be able to vote to approve them. And then we'll also be electing the directors for the next year. So more thank yous, more gratitude for each and every member that has contributed to the mission of our organization in whatever means that is that you participate. You're making a difference in the work we do and the future success of our organization. I realized this year, took a minute and realized that, it is the members, it's the actual human beings that form that foundation that keep us growing and learning and have held us in high regard in our county and in our townships and in our neighborhoods as a good, solid environmental organization. And that makes me think about how things would be different if we weren't here. All of the environmental organizations in our county, how it would be different if we weren't working so hard to preserve open space and educate people about why it's important and keep them informed about how our water system works and providing experiences for our young people. You know, the collective values we have formed by establishing and collaborating with other environmental groups, it's
I don't know what to do about the person locked out. Okay. Hi, everybody. Sorry about that. I'm not really sure what happened. We're, technologically not that challenged because we have a wonderful videographer who's helping with us. But Lori, I'm sorry the end of your comments got cut off suddenly. I don't know if there was a power outage, but anyway, thank you so much again for everyone for being here. And mine is going to be one of a lot of thanks too. We have a lot of people to thank, and I hope that you enjoyed the session rooms if you had a chance to visit and the slideshow. I'd like to thank my son, Ben Canner, for doing the music and for letting me record some flute with him. So that was kind of a fun project. Of course, we all know how much has changed over this last year. And obviously, I'm here. Luckily, I'm with Steve and my new colleague, Mallory. I'm not alone, but we're supposed to be together and we're not. But I got to tell you, we've done amazing things. We've kept so busy over this past year. It's really remarkable. And not only that, but new things happened. So even in a time of crisis, even under COVID-19, we hired new staff. We became the new home to McSeep, which a lot of you know about already because you've been reading about that in our newsletter and elsewhere. We even expanded the green spot a little bit. We have another space called the Clearance Corner for overflow books. I'm standing in the green spot right now, and I'm also really happy to say that I'm standing on a new carpet. And we really want to thank Dave Kozlowski, our longtime member and owner of Little Green Houses, for his volunteering his time and expertise on putting those carpet squares down, and our bookstore volunteers for all of their time and efficiency in moving everything out and back in again. So thank you to all of them. And I want to thank our sponsors of this very unusual virtual annual meeting and really appreciate their sponsorship and support because this program, our annual meeting, supports our summer internship program. And we do have 3 wonderful interns, and hello to them. Some of them are on today, and glad you could make it. So our sponsors are Wells Fargo, McHenry County College, William R. Kresnor and Associates, Marvin's Toy Store, Baird and Warner, 1776 Restaurant, McSeep, and Citizens Climate Lobby. I also want to thank those foundations that support us throughout the year. It's been really critical this year with Grant Victoria Foundation supporting us for operations, but also supported us with a grant during COVID for COVID relief. We also appreciate the Aptar Charitable Group, Jerry and Bill Callan Foundation, and the Full Circle Foundation. With all of you as members and your continued support and renewals and our grants, we've really come through this period of crisis in a strong way. So just a little bit of housekeeping with Hopin. We invite you to stay on throughout this whole program, of course. We do have the minutes in reception. And also, we will be taking some votes during our business meeting, which starts at 5:30. And we, at the end, for a half an hour, if you want to, there's an opportunity to just network. So that's kind of a one-on-one conversations. You're randomly paired with someone else, and it's kind of fun. So I would like to now move on with our schedule of program here and introduce Bill McKibben. Many of you are aware of Bill McKibben's work 30 years ago as he has brought to the attention mainstream about the problems of climate change. He's founder and senior advisor emeritus of 350.org and helped found the organization, the first global grassroots climate campaign. and he's organized on every continent, including Antarctica, for climate action. He serves as the Schumann Distinguished Scholar in Environmental Studies at Middlebury College, as a fellow of the American Academy of Arts and Sciences, and is a recipient of the Gandhi Peace Prize. Bill McKibben's 1989 book, The End of Nature, is regarded as the first book for a general audience about climate change. 30 years ago, he offered one of the earliest warnings about climate change, and now he broadens that warning in his new book, Falter. And the warning is the entire human game, he suggests, has begun to play itself out. So we thank Bill McKibben for doing a recording for us that we're going to show in just a little bit here, and appreciate him agreeing to do that. And if he's on, Bill, hello, and thank you very much. And I hope you enjoy the afternoon, and we will see you again soon. Enjoy this pre-recorded message from Bill McKibben, just for Defenders. Thank you.
Moment are snow-covered and beautiful. Hello, friends in McHenry County. What a pleasure to get to join you. My name is Bill McKibben, and I'm coming to you from my home in the mountains of Vermont, which at the moment are snow-covered and beautiful. And I have no doubt that it's beautiful there on the shores of the lake and in the greater Chicagoland area. And I hope that you've gotten through winter just fine and are headed into the springtime. I want to thank you for the work that y'all have done in the past and the work that you're going to do in the future, because it's incredibly important. Let me just spend a few minutes with you. I know that you know most of this stuff, but let me just bring you up to date on where we are on the climate fight and what it's going to require from us at this point. You know, I got to write the first book about climate change for a general audience a long time ago. 1989 was when The End of Nature came out. And I've been at work in this problem since then in my mid-20s. And it means I've spent most of my life engaged in it, and I've been engaged in it as long as it's been a public battle. We knew most of what we needed to know, frankly, back in 1989. You burn coal and gas and oil, you put CO2 in the atmosphere, its molecular structure traps heat, warms the planet. We didn't know exactly how fast it would warm and how hard it would pinch. Scientists are conservative by nature and underestimated the speed with which things were going to happen. So we're seeing tremendous change so far. We've raised the temperature of the Earth 1 degree centigrade, 1.8 degrees Fahrenheit or so. That doesn't sound like a whole lot, but it is a whole lot. It means that every day we trap the heat equivalent of 400,000 Hiroshima-sized explosions near the planet. And all that heat, all that's trapped every single day, that explains why we've melted most of the sea ice in the summer Arctic. Not easy to do. I mean, this is continent scale, millennia old, meters thick sea ice, and now it's mostly gone. That's why we've been able to start raising the level of the oceans by appreciable amounts. That's why the hydrological cycle of the planet is so out to kilter. If you wanted one fact to understand the 21st century, it's just that warm air holds more water vapor than cold. So as it gets hotter, you can get more of this evaporation and drought in arid places. That explains why last year, Australia and California caught on fire so dramatically. Once that water's up in the air, it's going to come down, and that explains why we see so much more deluge and downpour. 3 years ago, Houston had the single biggest rainstorm we've ever seen in this country. The kind of rain that you could only have in a warmed atmosphere. They got 5 feet of rain as part of Hurricane Harvey. Think about 5 feet of rain. The scary part is That 1 degree is still early in this process. We're on a path at the moment, business as usual path, even if we kept the promises we made at Paris to raise the temperature something like 3 or 3.5 degrees Celsius, 5, 6 degrees Fahrenheit. If we do anything like that, we can't have civilizations like the ones we're used to. There'll just be too much chaos. It's not going to be a linear increase. 3 degrees won't be 3 times as bad. It'll be much worse than that because we keep going past these tipping points from which there's no return. Nobody has a plan for how you freeze the Arctic back up again. And the point I really, really want to get across now is we have a narrow window at best to slow this down. The Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, which are our preeminent climate scientists around the world, told us in October of 2018, their last report, that if we hadn't, by 2030, fundamentally transformed our energy system, which they defined as cutting emissions in half, then we would never be able to meet the temperature targets that we set in Paris just 6 years ago. 9 years, not a long time, not a long time at all. So that's where we are. Now I'll tell you the good news. The engineers did a hell of a job the last decade. They dropped the price of solar power and wind power, and they didn't just drop it a little bit, they dropped it 90%, okay? An order of magnitude. What 10 years ago was still expensive is now the cheapest power on Earth by far. And increasingly, it comes with batteries that can affordably and reliably store large quantities of that power so that the sun going down at night is not the issue it once was. What I'm trying to tell you is we have the technology we need if we wanted to use it to make an all-out effort to get something done. So the question is, will we? Will we make that all-out effort? And that, my friends, is up to you and me. We have finally a president who's committed to taking action on climate change and whose early days of his administration have been marked by many very good initiatives. But in order to move at the speed we need to move, we're going to have to open up much, much more space for them because it remains an incredibly difficult political lift. That's because the fossil fuel industry remains an incredibly powerful political player, able to, well, in this case, able to tell a lie about climate change for 3 decades that kept us from doing anything. We now know from great investigative reporting that companies like Exxon knew all there was to know about climate change back in the 1980s when I was writing my book. They knew about it. They believed it. Their scientists told their executives, and their executives said, we're going to build every drill rig we build now taller to compensate for the rise in sea level we knew was in the offing. But of course, they didn't tell the rest of us. The entire industry got together and built this architecture of deceit and denial and disinformation. And that kept us from paralyzed for 30 years. That spell is beginning to wear off. I think overt climate denial got on the airplane with Trump and flew to Mar-a-Lago, where it will slowly, I'm afraid, sink beneath the rising seas. But that doesn't mean that the forces of delay and so on aren't as strong as ever. They are. And that's what we need to stand up to. And standing up to the fossil fuel industry is a huge part of that. That's why we've worked so hard, not just to do things like defeat pipelines. And of course, across the upper Midwest, an enormous amount of work has happened along those lines. The great people in Nebraska who fought so hard against the Keystone Pipeline, or up in Minnesota now where they're fighting Line 3, or in Michigan where thankfully Governor Whitmer has ditched the Line 5 oil pipeline underneath the Straits of Mackinac, on and on and on. Along with that, we've been fighting really hard to take away the financial underpinnings of this industry, working on this divestment campaign that's become the biggest thing of its kind. in history. We're at $15 trillion in endowments and portfolios that have begun to divest from fossil fuel. And we need you to make sure that the Illinois Pension Fund and that the local universities and the churches and city pension funds join in this fight. It's one of the most important parts of this actions that we've got going on. I wish I could tell you that if we did all these things, we would win this fight. And I can't tell you that because we don't know. Because it is a timed fight, our window is narrow at best. We have to win this fight quickly or we have no chance of winning it. It's not like other policy issues that we take on. As long as I've been alive, we've been debating healthcare for people. I think we should, I'm a Vermonter, I'm a Bernie guy. I think we should have universal health care like every other industrialized country. And I think we will someday. And when we get it, the fact that we dilly-dallied for so long won't have made it harder to get. A lot of people will have died or gone bankrupt in the meantime, but it won't prevent us from doing it. But climate change isn't like that. Once the Arctic's melted, no way to freeze it back up. So that's why winning slowly here is just another way of losing. That's why we need people working so hard and why we're so grateful to y'all for the work that you're about. I want you to know that as you work on climate change, individual things that you can do are important. I'm glad I have solar panels all over my roof, but they're not the most important thing. We're past the point where we're going to solve this one Prius at a time. The most important thing an individual can do is be a little less of an individual. Join together with others to build the kind of movements that can change the political and economic ground rules. And when you're doing that work, I just want you to know that you have brothers and sisters the planet over, because I've spent much of my time out in every part of the world organizing and seeing people put up this fight in what's become perhaps the biggest movement the world has ever seen. So I just want to send you my deepest thanks for what you've already done. You're in an important place, you make an important witness and an important difference. And if I can't promise you that we're going to win, because we don't know, I can promise you that we're all going to fight together. Bless y'all for being part of that good fight, and we will see you down the road.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Thank you, everybody. So we're going to get our next speaker set up, Jim Halfpenny. And in the meantime, we've got a few minutes. If if you're a member and you haven't reviewed our minutes from our 50th anniversary dinner, it would be great to take this opportunity and go to reception. Just click on where it says reception, and you can review the minutes there. So if you can do that in the next few minutes and then be back here at 4:45 on stage for Jim Halfpenny, and we'll get set up. Thank you.